my 2007 Subaru WRX STI that we got a couple months ago from my buddy Justin. We got it with a blown up engine. We found a rat's nest in it. Literally everything on this car was destroyed. The short block was ruined. The cylinder heads were ruined. The transmission's leaking, the interior's gross, the seat's blown out, you know, the list just goes on. So this car has needed a lot to get it back, even to the point it's on, like it looks decent now, but I mean, you guys can even see the headlights look like crap. So if you guys have been around the channel for a while, or even if you've been watching recently, you'll know we had these white Desmond Regamasters on the RX7. I actually pulled those off. We got new wheels on the RX7 that I'll show you at the end of this video. So we have some 18 by 10.5 plus 15 Regamasters wrapped in 265, 35, 18 extreme contact from Continental. It'll be a good like tire for daily driving and having fun with. The car's not meant to make a whole bunch of power. We only want like 400 wheel out of this car. I want it to look good, and I want it to be a very nostalgic STI, if that makes sense. So let me show you around the car. I got a whole bunch of OEM parts in and some other stuff that we need for this build. So let me give you a quick walk around. We'll jump into the parts over here. I know a lot of people don't like these cars with the flares on them, and that's all right. This car's for me. It's supposed to be a very nostalgic build for myself, and I love it with the Carltons. We still need to put the rears on, and I still have 2 more tires to get mounted on the other 2 Regamasters, but it's gonna look so good in my opinion. I'm just excited for it. So Type RA short block, IAG stage 1 cylinder heads with a set of GSC S1 camshafts, Cosworth intake manifold for the nostalgia feel since they did a short run of remake on those. Grimspeed BB500 turbo. This car should do around 400 to 450 wheel, which is exactly where we want it. We don't want this thing making a ton of power. I have cars that make power. This one I just want to be fun. On the table, I got a whole bunch of good stuff. We have a brand new pressure line for the air conditioner. I have a brand new AC condenser in this box right here because my old one was just beat up. It had overspray on it. AVCS covers, OEM shift knobs, side skirt clips. This is my favorite. This is an OEM replacement gauge cluster plastic because mine is just beat to shit. I didn't even know they sold those. Those are only like 30 bucks. Stainless steel clutch line. We have a whole bunch of AN fittings here and AN line to be able to build our fuel system. Hopefully we can get to that tonight. So I want to kind of start with some of the stuff that I have on the table. It's all the OEM stuff. We need to get these on so that way we obviously don't leak oil. New clutch return spring, easy. AC condenser should be pretty easy as well. So we'll start with the AC condenser. So like that, we got our brand new AC condenser installed in there, brand new O-rings, brand new line right here. I may need to swap this one out in the future. I can already tell that something was hardcore rubbing on that in the past. So if it leaks, we'll replace it. If not, we should be good. For once, I've gone out of my way on one of the cars to not delete AC, but to add it back in. So now that we've got AC in here, I think the next thing we're gonna do is hop in here. I gotta pull off these fuel rails to be able to put on the AVCS covers right down there. So I ordered new gaskets, new covers, because since we got new cylinder heads, they don't come with these, and since they're fresh heads, figured we'd toss some brand new ones on there. Decided to toss the intercooler piping on. I needed the cold side on so that way I could see how much clearance we have for our fuel pressure regulator because it is going to be mounted over there. But this pipe can stay on permanently, so I got that one on. For the cold side, Cobb does it interesting so that way you can still have a fog light if you want to right here. So it wraps up around, comes back around right there, and then comes up through here, which is why we had to cut off the tabs here and move the expansion tank, the coolant overflow to right here. And then this pipe comes up, wraps around, and it still does work with the Cosworth manifold like it would OEM. So I am missing the bypass valve adapter. Normally it comes with the cold side intercooler piping, but it wasn't sent with it, so I'm gonna have to order that tonight. I also made up the harness for the IAT sensor, so we are gonna be running a hybrid speed density on this. So that means we are still gonna be using the OEM MAF sensor in addition to a relocated IAT sensor up here. The IAT sensor just gives more accurate readings as the air passes through the intercooler right before it goes into the throttle body, so that way we get an accurate reading. So actually, before I jump over here to doing our fuel pressure regulator mounting right there, I would like to hop inside of the car and do that gauge cluster shroud here, just because I feel like it's gonna get damaged if I just have it floating around the shop, so I'd rather get that done now. So in order to get out the stock gauge cluster, we're gonna have to remove the surround that we put in last time, and then there's just a couple screws that hold it in and one electrical connector, so it should come out pretty easy. And then once it's out, it should just be a couple clips holding on that plastic. Dude, that looks incredible. It looks brand new. For 30 bucks, dude, I highly suggest you guys do that if your gauge cluster is also looking a little bit crusty and nasty. So actually, next up, while we're in here, I'm gonna go ahead and get the access port installed. Not installed, I'm just gonna get wired up and get it in its home. I use these, I'll link these down below. This is what I use for my access port mounts. They work incredible. I don't have a magnetic backing for it right now, but the access port should stick to it for the time being. I also pop out one of the dead switches here to be able to run my cable through, and then it just goes up to the access port. So let's get our access port hooked up, and then we can jump over here to the fuel system. While I was off camera, I did go ahead and get the fuel pressure regulator mounted up right there. Just kind of used some of the stock holes here in the bracket that it came with and just made it work, and I'm pretty happy with that actually. So we can go ahead and start on the fuel lines at this point, and then from there, dude, it's really just wrapping up a lot of small stuff up in the engine bay, and then we can jump outside the car, start working on the exterior, start working on some of the drivetrain stuff that I have. But dude, this thing's coming along nicely. I'm pleased with how this engine bay is looking. I really dig the silver and black theme. That's just my personal preference. I think it looks really good. So let's go ahead and get our access port zip tied up, plugged in, and all hooked up in here. So that way we can just install it at a later date. So we'll zip tie the cable up at a later point because I got a couple more cables I gotta run in there, but that's essentially how the access port will sit. It'll just kind of sit like that. Then I can prop that up a little bit more so that that way it faces me. So for the fuel system, I'm gonna pop off this pipe here and the intake manifold. I'll probably start on the return lines that go to the regulator, then the regulator back up to the hard line, the feed lines. Those are easy enough. I got the whole return side of the fuel system done. So if you look right here coming off the back of the fuel rail, that fuel line wraps all the way back around and goes to the bottom of our fuel pressure regulator here. This side fitting wraps up and goes to the return or the hard line there. And then the last one, which uses this like 120-degree fitting there, wraps down to our fuel line or a fuel rail right there. And that covers the entire return side of the fuel system. So now we just need to do the feed, which is going to be coming off the bottom hard line here, coming down to a T or a Y that's going to go in the center of the block, then go out to either the Y or the T fitting, which will split off to feed each rail. So I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like good progress has been made. So that's where I'm gonna end it there on the STI, you guys. Good progress, man. The entire return side of the fuel system is done. Fuel pressure regulator mounted up. We got our front wheels on. We got the gauge cluster swapped out, AC condenser in, new AC lines, a whole bunch of other stuff installed as well. Intercooler piping all fitted up. So I need to go to the house, grab a couple of Dell clamps for the rest of the fuel system for the feed sides. I am gonna snag the other 2 Regamasters off the RX7 so that way I can go play tire swap again in the morning. So let me show you the new wheels that we got for the Mazda. I think you guys will like them. Keep in mind the Millennium Jade wrap is coming off, and I am gonna go take that car to get repainted. It's just gonna be repainted the base silver color that it is, and I think the wheels will go great with the base color. So let me push it in real quick. Look at that, daddy-o. I'll go forward a bit more. So what do you think? These are RS05 RRs. We got these from our boys over at Rally Sport Direct. They are 18 by 9.5 plus 38. For tires, we have 255, 35, 18 in the front, 275, 35, 18 in the rear. I think this will hook up nicely on this car. This car, it should make a lot of power. I don't know if we're gonna send it to the absolute limit of being able to do all the power, but it'll make a lot of power. So I figured the 275s in the rear would be good. I mean, I just took these tires off of the Regamasters since I loved the Regamasters on this car. Don't get me wrong, they were just too wide. So I have made the decision. The wrap is gonna come off. This car is gonna go get painted. I feel like the silver looks really good on this car. And the other thing is, this car is just so old that the paint is failing and it's causing the wrap to fail. And if the wrap's failing, it's obviously not gonna last long when being driven. So I really like these wheels. They look good. They will, and we won't have any more rubbing issues whenever we're turning or moving. We can actually lower the car a little bit more too, which we'll probably do. So I dig them. The RS05 RRs, they look really good. That's all I got for you guys on this one. If you like the video, you know what to do. Go hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not subscribed already and you want to be, because you want to see this thing party and see the final form of it, and we have a new project coming to this channel too that I haven't told you guys about yet that I am, that's going to be a full restoration car, strip it down to chassis paint. You guys will see it later on. But anyways, I'm talking out of my ass now. With that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.